Hello, and welcome back to Of the People. I'm Robert Chernin.
I'm Ericka Redic.
And we are back, segment 2. Ericka, let's rush right in. So, you know how you've heard, because I told the folks where we're going.
Oh
right?
my God, I've been waiting for this one. I'm so excited.
Well, you're excited? Okay.
Because it's so stupid. This is what I said we were going to need a ton of irreverence for.
No, this is deadly serious. So you've heard the Great Pyramids, right? One day I hope to get to see the Great Pyramids, but you've heard about the Great Pyramids, and then there's the lesser pyramids like the Food Pyramid, which we see how well that's working for most of America, right? Especially in flyover country. But now the government, and actually it's not the government, they funded the study, has come out with the Pyramid of Far-Right Radicalization.
Yeah. Yep.
And what it does is it connects everything from the Christian Broadcasting Network to the Proud Boys, all the way up to the fascist organizations, and they're all lumped together, and it's just a question of degree.
Yep.
Have you seen this thing?
It is. I laughed so hard, and then I was like, it was like a mix. It was a mixed emotions because it's so stupid.
It's not stupid. It's deadly. First of all, Homeland Security. I'm holding it, folks. Take a look at this one. Go look at it. Right.
We're gonna for those of you listening, make sure to go to Twitter or Rumble. We'll put it in the video so you can see it well.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So first of all, Department of Homeland Security, Mayorkas, gives a grant to, I think it's University of Cincinnati or something.
Ohio.
To Ohio to do this study and to put out this food pyramid of radical groups. Now, just to give everyone a sense of all of this. On the lower level, so basically they're equating the Christian Broadcasting Network, the NRA, right? And by the way, they put the Tea Party down there. Is the Tea Party still even in existence?
No, they put them out. They used the IRS to make them go away. Right.
So Fox News, Heritage Foundation, American Conservative Union, and then the next tier, which they call the alt-light. Right, so it's no longer alt-right, it's alt-light. So we go from mainstream conservatism to the alt. And by the way, so they're now equating the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers with Dennis Prager and Turning Point
That's
USA.
Right.
And what I'm trying to figure out is what is Quillette doing in there?
Not even.
Which is by right.
It's not even. That's not even a bunch of right wingers. Why is Quillette on there?
So, I mean, if you think the government isn't trying to skew this. I mean, what show was it that we did back in one of our early shows where it was the Department of Justice back in 2006, I think. Maybe
it was 86.
No, I'm sorry. It was 86. It was during the Reagan years.
That's right.
That's why I couldn't find it.
Yep.
Basically said that anyone is pro-family with Christian values is a potential terrorist. So now on steroids, you have the deep state, you have the FBI, and look, clearly they're weaponizing. I know that that's now the term in the vernacular, but they're weaponizing the different departments within the executive branch. The IRS, the Homeland Security, the FBI, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But so now they come out with this study that shows that, and some of these guys, I don't know, have you heard of some of these guys? So if you go up to the third level, which is the white supremacist, AKA the alt-right,
which has the Nazi, right? Like, so just so everybody, like, it goes from the RNC, okay, to freaking PragerU and then Nazis, okay? This is how they think it's progressing.
Which, by the way, would the Nazis be in the fourth, the top tier?
How are they in the third tier? Who's above Nazis?
I mean, if you were a Nazi, wouldn't you be offended by this? I mean. They should be the most. I mean, come on.
They went and murdered a bunch of people.
But really, so the thing is, first of all, if you look up the pyramid for far left extremism, guess what?
Does it exist?
It doesn't exist. So everything here. So if you're patriotic, and I understand some of these groups on the top, but on the other hand. When you have a government that censors information, when you have a government who's not integrity, what's the word that I'm looking for? Basically, that legitimacy of the election, right? which is, I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but there's a lot of things we don't have answered. And you have a lot of people who, I mean, if you look at the Declaration of Independence, it basically says that when the government no longer represents the people, you're duty bound to overthrow the government. Now, I'm not arguing to overthrow the government, folks. Let's be clear. To arms, right? You know,
Yeah,
guillotine, like guillotine.
Yeah, we
but
got elections still. We're gonna get anyway.
Well,
but yeah,
you have right. But the fact that your government, that our government, has funded a study on far right radicalization and basically equates, and they're not quite equating, but they're basically saying the American Conservative Union, Matt Schlapp, they're saying it was just CPAC, the NRA, Christian Broadcasting Network, RNC, Fox News, and Heritage Foundation they call them Main Street Conservative, but if you get into the data, they basically say that these sort of are feeder systems to the higher ups on the pyramid.
Right.
And then the second is, obviously, they put MAGA in there, they Make America Great Again, equal to Prager, equal to Turning Point, equal to InfoWars, equal to Proud Boys, equal to, and Breitbart is, of course, Andrew Breitbart, right? Breitbart isn't, and then all of this feeds into a radicalization. I mean, Ericka, it's funny, but it's not funny.
Right. Well, and here's the one of the things that it stood out to me right away was the fact that a swastika was even on here. Nazis were they're left-wing fascists. The Democrat, socialists, whatever. So,
well, wait a minute. No, they're right. No. Communists are left-wing fascists.
That's what I'm saying.
Nazis. No. Wait a minute. So Nazism is National Socialism, right? So remember when we talked about in one of our early shows that really political ideology is not linear; it's circular.
Right.
Remember
Correct.
we talked about
Yes.
that? Because if you go too far right, you end up left. If you go too far left, you end up right. So the path to, because you're talking about Antifa is the left, right?
Right.
But National Socialism is considered to be a right of center ideology, even though socialism, without the national part of it, is considered to be a left of center or left wing ideology.
I don't understand how, though. Socialism is antithetical to conservatism or to the Declaration of Independence.
Hey, I don't make these rules. So I'm just, and no one has elected me as sort of the political scientist of the year to be able to say, well, this is the way it is. But
so basically, they took $350,000 taxpayer dollars to make up a bunch of nonsense. Is essentially what I'm hearing.
Well, it's not nonsense because it's out there.
Yeah.
By the way, the Homeland Security said the following: deny, and deny. Homeland Security says because there's quite an outrage, by the way, on social media. And this is very current.
Okay.
It says the presented chart was not developed, presented, or endorsed by the Department of Homeland Security and was not part of any successful grant application to the Department of Homeland Security. Wrong.
What?
Lie. They're denying it. So Mayorkas, Department of Homeland Security does not profile, target, or discriminate against any individual for the exercising their constitutional rights protected by the First Amendment. But you're going after the NRA. And by the way, if you're going after the NRA, you're going after the Second Amendment. That's not terrorism.
That's
right?
Wild.
Right. So they basically have said we didn't do it because there is quite an uproar over it. Right. And they're basically, they're equating Nazism, right, to Christians and, Republicans and Nazism. And some of these groups, who are these guys?
No idea.
I mean,
no idea. You guys, there's so many logos and crap on here. I don't even know who half this stuff is.
Right. So, we didn't get to it. By the way, we're getting the 1 minute warning. This must go really quick because the guy pushing this is a guy named Michael Lodenthal. And Lodenthal says that he is that he's against white nationalism, but he admits that a lot of things they're doing are illegal, that he's into violence, and he thinks that you have to use violence to drive change against this pyramid. Folks, we cover a lot of topics. Don't believe me. Don't listen to me. Look it up for yourself. This one's for real. This is your government, right? If you're white, if you're Christian, if you're RNC.
Yeah.
I wonder if the RNC people know that they're borderline, fascist or terrorist. But in any event,
well, wait, hold on. I'm getting a sign from Benjamin. We got the time. We actually have a few more minutes.
Okay, Benjamin. You you are the man, but I mean, you got to wind your clock, Benjamin, Lord Benjamin. All right. So since I have time,
yeah. So if we want to wrap it or like give them something succinct here,
that's fine. But it just means, you know what it really means?
Yeah.
Other than marrying you, he's not perfect.
I know he's mostly perfect.
He's mostly
perfect.
So one of these days we're going to get him on, and he gets to take a bow.
Yeah.
But today is not that day. So let me go back to this guy, because here's the other guy you should look up: Michael Lodenthal, Loadenthal, at the University of Cincinnati. Right.
Yep.
He basically said he introduced himself, stating that he is a militant Antifa. He then continued his talk by teaching audience members how to securely dox people to their employers. How to use VPN, burner phones, encrypted communications, and sock puppet accounts to dox people.
Wow.
And then goes on to say, and I quote, "A lot of the things we are doing are illegal, and a lot of it involves breaking the law."
And then we go and give him $350,000 to make up and say...
No, we did it before. We did that beforehand.
Oh, wow.
And do you know what? Do you know when Trump was elected in 2016, and they had these spontaneous demonstrations in D.C.? Well, it turns out they weren't spontaneous at all. They were planned by Antifa, including this guy who was there and got arrested and has now been documented.
Shut up.
So okay, I'll shut up.
No, don't shut up. Keep talking. No.
Well, then don't tell me to shut up.
Oh, my God. See,
how literal
this is the thing. The government is literally funding people to tear itself down. Basically, Department of Homeland Security, the deep state, the administrative state that we talk about all the time, is literally funding and then encouraging tearing down the very fabric that holds us together as a country. They are encouraging us to be divided and to distrust one another and to dislike and hate one another. Oh man, whoever the Republican nominee is for president, if they are not talking about dismantling their own power by tearing down and defunding the CIA, the FBI, and the administrative state, nobody better be voting for them.
Ericka, they're not going to. I mean, look, you want to defund the CIA, really?
Yeah.
You want to defund the FBI?
Yep.
So basically, I learned a long time ago that when a dog comes up to you and start barking, you don't want to get down on all fours and bark back. These guys want to defund the police. We don't want to. We want checks and balances. We want accountability. We want responsibility. It's a mean, evil world out there. I want these guys, right? It's the leadership. What you're talking about, the leadership of the FBI. You're talking about, Brennan, John Brennan, the former CIA director. I mean, these guys are scum, right?
Yeah.
These guys are really bad guys.
Yeah.
And they have polarized and politicized. And by the way, all of this goes back to Obama.
Yeah.
This is, and if any of you think that Joe Biden is running anything, there's a bridge in Brooklyn I'd like to sell you. He's running nothing. This is the third term of Obama after he plants. Remember that whole meeting in the Oval Office where Susan Rice, where they brought this whole Trump, ridiculous Trump narrative about, being a Russian spy.
Yeah, they
and somehow
knew.
or other,
and they
Susan
let it
Rice
go through.
Right. Susan Rice somehow writes, this has to be done by the book. What, like everything else shouldn't be done by the book? What made you put that entry in there at that time, at that moment, other than to cover your ass?
Oh, my gosh.
In any event, don't get me pissed off. We have to go.
God.
Folks, look, I live in this stuff all day, but until the average person gets involved in all of this and demands change, there will be no change until we find out what we have in common and don't let them separate us.
Yeah.
None of this will ever change, ever.
That's right.
Right. So now what they're doing is they're building this pyramid and say, if you're a Christian, you're on the path to being a terrorist.
Yeah, if you're a basic Republican, you guys, the base layer of this pyramid, again, we have to encourage you guys, go check us out on Rumble, Twitter, the website. You're going to see it in the video. We'll attach it.
The Pyramid of Far-Right Radicalization.
The RNC, okay? The basic, it is just the basic RNC GOP little elephant on here. They're saying...
Wait a minute. the RNC may be a terrorist organization. You know, I've been to the RNC. You know, they don't really serve good food there, so they may be a terrorist organization.
But if the GOP, if just being a Republican means, you know, if you want limited government and low taxes, and that means you're on the road to radicalization, I mean, that is just outrageous. It is foolish, and it is dangerous for our government to be encouraging this kind of rhetoric. And if they don't want us to believe that they are intentionally trying to divide, demonize, demonize, divide, demagogue.
Okay, by the way, you're taking my next demagogue, 3 Ds. Demagogue, demonize, and divide. You know, I want credit for that because I made that up.
like it. I mean,
the 3 Ds.
It really is.
Of course it is.
And
because it works.
Even
because it works.
Like PragerU being on here. Okay, Will Witt, you're trying to tell me listening to a podcast or a man on the street from Will Witt is radicalizing people? Or like an Amala Epinobi who is like, these are people who are just really kind of trying to understand
Wait a minute. You know what those people are? They are reminiscent of old time journalists who actually ask insightful, deeper questions, because that's supposed to be what the press's job is. And we could do a whole episode on sort of the Fourth Estate and how they're not really carrying on their function, and Edward R. Murrow would be turning over in his grave. But look,
true.
we got to go to break. And by the way, Triple D, when we're not talking diners, drive-ins, and dives, Triple D, demagogue, demonize, and divide, is where we're going to start next section. Folks, we're going to break. I'm Robert Chernin with
Ericka Redic.
And we will both be right back. Stay tuned.